Hello everybody, MorbTron here, and welcome to my beginner's guide to Anthem. Note that this is not a guide on how to get through the game and to the end game as soon as possible, as I believe this is a fun game meant to be played through at your own pace, but it is a guide to get you understanding the mechanics in the game and how to better understand how the game works, covering the basics of gameplay from things to do in the fort to tricks for piloting your Javelin out in the environment. The fort will change and evolve as you progress your storyline, and you can talk to people in the fort, which will give you dialogue options, which will have an effect on what happens in the fort as well. Talking to people might seem like an inconvenience at first, but it does give you free bonus reputation for the 3 factions in the game that you can earn reputation for, and it also has an effect on what changes in the fort throughout you playing through it. Reputation can be gained for the Arcanist, Sentinels, and Freelancers, and will unlock blueprints and also evolve the fort over time. You can check to see what your reputation status is at each prospective location where you pick up contracts for those reputations. Here is the Sentinel reputation now. As you can see here, you unlock iconic component blueprints, more blueprints, and those are just what is shown when you unlock level 2, for instance, in the Sentinels. There are changes, a lot of changes that happen in the fort to make it a much more livable and bright and happy place. It's good times. Crafting items like weapons and gear giving you your Javelin's abilities, is done in the forge. And unlocking the blueprints to make weapons and gear is gotten through using the weapons and gear. So if you see here in my crafting menu for weapons that I have, I don't really use weapons all that often, and when I do, I've been using a variety of them, so I haven't really unlocked any of the blueprints. What I tend to use is my abilities. I use them quite often. I use a shot coil quite often. So you see here I've unlocked the epic blueprint for the shot coil. And you gain these blueprints for crafting things by completing challenges associated with that specific piece of gear. And you find those, and you can track those in the challenges menu, which I'll show you here momentarily. But they all have different things you have to do, take down certain numbers of enemies, complete certain numbers of missions or free play activities while using said abilities, that sort of thing. So, you go into your journal, which on PC is J. You go to your challenges, you have gear and weapons here. Let's go into weapons first. We'll go into Marksman's Rifle first. You'll see here we have Scout 2, Guardian 1, and Anvil 1. These are the 3 marksman rifles out there. Marksman Rifle Master is just a challenge that gives you coin once you complete all of the Marksman Rifle level 1 challenges. So completing these challenges is a good way to earn coin, as well as unlock the blueprints for the weapons. You'll see here I have to kill a few more elite enemies to unlock the blue blueprint for the Scout. Or if we go here to the Anvil, which I have not used at all, I just have to defeat 50 enemies with an Anvil to unlock the uncommon version of the Anvil blueprint. Or if we go into the gear, you'll see here we can go to Colossus, Interceptor, Ranger, Storm. We're going to go to Colossus because that's what I play. We're going to go to Shield Pulse 3, which will give us the epic or the purple version of Shield Pulse, which is a support ability for the Colossus. And I need to complete 3 more missions or world events, which world events are done in free play mode with Shield Pulse equipped. Or if we go down here to Railgun number 1, I need to complete missions or world events with a Railgun equipped to unlock the green or uncommon blueprint for Railgun. I need to do 3 more of those as well. So you see here they're fairly easy to track, they're fairly easy to do, but they are time consuming. The more difficult ones come into play when you're trying to gain a blueprint for a masterwork weapon to be able to make those, and you can't even see the challenges for masterwork weapons until you get the masterwork weapon or gear. And then you can unlock that blueprint and make one. I would show you, but I'm not to that part of the end game yet and have not gotten a masterwork drop yet. One side note for crafting is you will need crafting materials in order to craft whatever you want to make. So if you go into your vault, which is near the forge, you can see what you have as far as crafting materials. I haven't gotten a single masterwork item yet to drop, so I haven't broken down any, but I already have 25 masterwork embers. Not sure where I got those from specifically, just probably from collecting things out in the environment. But you'll see here I have 99 plus of a lot of different things, and a few of, I have ranger parts. I don't have any interceptor or storm parts, as I have not played on those yet. I haven't played any on the ranger either, so I'm not sure where I got those from, but in order to obtain these, the chimeric alloy, the chimeric compound, those are gotten through breaking down items, or they're also gotten from being out in the environment, collecting resources that you can harvest. The weapon parts are gotten from breaking down weapons, and the Colossus parts, or ranger parts, or interceptor parts, or storm parts are gotten from breaking down gear specific to that Javelin. So I have a lot of Colossus parts because I play Colossus. If I want more ranger parts, I'd have to play in a ranger and break down gear. Now, one thing that I will mention is you can purchase crafting materials for coin in-game. Coin is the currency that you earn by doing challenges or just playing the game naturally. Shards are the thing that you can purchase with real money in order to purchase these, or you can purchase them with coin as well. But you cannot use shards to purchase crafting materials, so there is no pay-to-win thing there. And there is no way to convert shards into coin either. So if you want to spend your earned coin from playing the game on crafting materials, you certainly can, but BioWare has made it very, very clear that there is no pay-to-win in this game. You cannot pay real money for crafting materials in-game. Getting into weapons and gear now, there are 6 levels of quality for gear and weapons in this game. We have, starting out with the common or the gray items, going up to uncommon or green. Then we have rare or blue, epic, which is purple, and not shown here, masterwork, which is orange, and legendary, which is yellow. Masterwork and legendary items are the most rare and will have special perks to them, the most rare being legendary. And what I mean by special perks is they might have something where if you hit an enemy consecutively with whatever number of bullets, you will either light them on fire or freeze them or detonate a combo that might be on them, that sort of thing. Or if it's a piece of gear, it might give you a buff if you're within, X distance of a target, or you have this much health left, or whatever. It's going to depend vastly on what the item is, and there's a ton of them out there. And like anybody watching this video, myself, I want to get my hands on all of them. Moving on to gear and abilities. Knowing what each ability does for you, each piece of gear does for you, is labeled in the game, and right now, before the official release, right now it's the 20th that I'm recording this on, there are some issues with that. There are some items or some abilities, some gear, that does not have the right label on it, so it won't tell you in this video, or won't show it in this video, but certain things are detonators and certain things are primers. One thing that's going to get patched here is the flamethrower that I'm displaying right now is what's called a primer. So you set things on fire, and a primer should have this little circle right here where my mouse cursor is on it, Any primer ability is going to have that little circle. Any detonator ability is going to have this little like ninja star type thing next to it as well. So you can see here the flamethrower does not have that little circle, but it is a primer. So you want to hit enemies with a primer once they don't have a shield on them, and that will give them a status effect. That status effect is then priming them for a combo. You hit them with an ability that has this little ninja star next to it, and that will detonate that combo. And you'll see here on my siege cannon, it says fires a high explosive shell, detonates explosive combo. And explosive combos are things that have like a bigger AoE to them than just a regular combo going off. Colossus kind of specialize in explosive combos, meaning that a Colossus combo explosion is a lot bigger than, say, a Ranger's combos detonations. So there's that to keep in mind as well. There will be primers and detonators in either of your 2 gear slots. For the Colossus, we have Heavy Assault Launcher and the Ordnance Launcher. So the one that I have equipped right here does not have that little circle next to it for shot coil, but it is a primer. On the flip side, Lightning Coil, so these are both electricity, is a detonator, but it doesn't show it, and that will be fixed, like I said, on the day 1 patch before you all get access to the game. Firewall Mortar is a primer, so that has a little circle, and the High Explosive Mortar, if I can words, is a detonator, so it has that little icon next to it. There are abilities that your Javelins will have that are neither primers or detonators. If you look at things like this flat cannon, you'll notice it doesn't have one of those things next to it, but it is actually neither a primer nor a detonator. Abilities that are neither of them usually have a higher damage output for themselves, but since they're not a primer or detonator, they can't lead to combos, but they do have, burst damage associated with them. The flat cannon being like a gigantic arm-mounted shotgun. It's pretty effective. One more note I wanted to make about gear, especially as you are leveling up, try to use everything you get your hands on. There of course will be a meta to use in the end game, but not even the people currently playing through that end game now, people that have rushed through early access, know what that meta is going to really be. The players that are currently just getting the end game did so because they either took time off from work or are playing games is their work. They're content creators. My advice would be to play the game. There's no rush to get to the end game. Experiment, have fun. It is a video game after all, and that's what these things are for. Weapons are pretty straightforward. BioWare did a good job in the weapons descriptions telling us what each weapon does differently from another weapon of the same type. For instance, if we search here, we're going to go down. We're going to search for sniper rifles. Here we go. So I've got a Devastator and a Whirlwind. The Devastator says ammunition explodes on contact with target, limited ammo. So the Devastator does not have a whole lot of ammo. It only holds 1 round at a time, so you have to reload after every shot. And it only holds a total of, I think, 6, including the one in the chamber, when you are full on ammo. That's before any modifiers that your gear might have on it. And on the flip side of that, we have the Whirlwind here, which is it says it's a hybrid between a sniper rifle and assault rifle, meaning that this one holds 12 rounds in its magazine, holds a lot more ammo overall, does less damage per bullet, but you can fire off automatic rounds. This is an automatic sniper rifle, but its damage per bullet, of course, is a lot lower. So that's what I mean when I say BioWare did a good job describing what each weapon does in the weapon description. And then, of course, we have the perks down here. Since these are both epic, they have 3. Now, there is one thing I did want to mention about weapons in general as well. Mainly about the Colossus. The Colossus does have 2 weapon types that only it can use. We have the autocannon, which I don't have any of right now, and we have the grenade launchers. There are 3 of each. The autocannons are basically just really, really big machine guns, and the grenade launchers, well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. They launch grenades. And there's, like I said, there's 3 of each type, and they all are very different from one another. So if you are a Colossus main, or you're just playing around in a Colossus, know that you have two weapon types that only a Colossus can use, and their damage potential is actually pretty good. Now, the flip side of that is the Colossus cannot use machine pistols and heavy pistols. In fact, if you look for them while you're on a Colossus, it won't even show them. I do have a couple heavy pistols and a couple machine pistols, but since the Colossus cannot equip them, when you search for them on a Colossus, it doesn't even show them. You will eventually unlock all Javelins as you play through the game. You unlock your first Javelin after you complete the intro mission. I'm not going to tell you which to choose, as every Javelin is powerful in their own way. Personally, I chose the Colossus first and have used it exclusively since, but we'll play other Javelins once I hit level 30, just to expand my arsenal and experience other ways to play the game. I will go over quickly each Javelin and kind of give you some of their strengths, a few of their weaknesses, that sort of thing. The Colossus, which you see in front of you right now, has no energy shield, unlike the other three, so you do not have a shield bar, you just have a health bar. Granted, there's a lot more of your health, but no shield to recharge. The Colossus does, however, have this little shield right here that unfolds that you can put up to block incoming damage from the front. The shield itself does have its own health pool and can break, which will kind of knock you backwards, but if you put it away in between blocking damage with it, it does recharge its health very quickly. The Colossus is very strong up close, as its melee is a detonator for combos and has a very strong arsenal for melee range primers, but can also lay on the hurt from range with mortars and high explosives. The Interceptor, a quick and nimble melee fighter, can dodge very often and very quickly. It specializes on weakening targets and spreading primer effects with its combos. Once an Interceptor sets off a combo, it gains an aura of whatever primer was used in that combo. So if somebody primed something with Frost and the Interceptor detonates that combo, it will gain a Frost aura around it. Or with Venom or Fire or Electricity or whatever. Whatever primer was used to set off a combo, if the Interceptor sets that off, will gain an aura that not only can prime other targets, but will also, after the Day 1 patch, do a damage over time effect if enemies are standing within that aura. Pretty darn neat. The Storm is the definition of a glass cannon. It has a very high damage output potential, as its primer and combos are extremely dangerous, but has almost no health for that. And to be the most effective it can be, the Storm needs to be hovering in the air, which means it's not really going to have much cover, if any, at all. So you really need to try to stay out of harm's way. And in fact, in higher difficulties, getting hit by even one sniper rifle round or a missile from a turret will nearly, if not completely, one-shot and take your Javelin out of commission. But it is very good at taking out large groups of enemies, as its combo detonators are very strong, and its primers usually have an area of effect to them. It is the one Javelin that can crowd control very effectively with Frost abilities, locking down turrets or large groups of enemies to either be dispatched immediately with a combo or taken out one at a time after freezing them with just regular weapons. The Ranger, or the Jack-of-all-trades Javelin as it's referred to, has a larger health pool than the Storm and Interceptor, but not nearly as beefy as a Colossus, although it does have a rechargeable shield as well. It has many powerful abilities that focus more on single target damage to take out strong enemies, and in my opinion has the best ultimate in the game. It's really fun to use, and its damage potential is great. It can either do a very significant amount of damage to a single target, or if used correctly can take out very large groups of small enemies. If you're looking for a Javelin that can get into a situation and get out of it alive, and you don't want to be a big beefy Colossus, the Ranger is going to be the Javelin for you. And looks pretty darn good too, if I do say so myself. And now we are to the final bit of this beginner's guide to Anthem. I'm going to be covering some gameplay tips for keeping your Javelin up in the air for longer periods of time. Flying is a major part of this game, and keeping your Javelin in the air will make things just better overall and provide just a better game experience. It's never fun when your Javelin plummets out of the air after overheating, and you have to go through waiting for your jets to cool off, and the animation and all that stuff, and being left behind by your team. There are ways to extend the heat cycle, if you want to call it that, of your jets on your Javelin. The first being one you can't control at all, being a storm that looks like this. And it being a storm like this will cool your jets indefinitely while the storm is going, but not as effectively as some of the other ways can. Now, if you fly close to water to the point where you're almost touching it, what will happen is it will cool your Javelin, and it will also kind of keep your heat bar where it is, or even reduce it a little bit depending on how close you get to the water. So if there is water where you're going to be flying in close relation to the ground, fly near the ground. You will be, of course, a easier target for enemies, but you'll be able to stay mobile, stay in the air forever. A good way to also cool the jets off is by flying through waterfalls. You will get kind of the same effect as flying close to water, except it'll be very, very instant. And after flying through a waterfall, you'll see there, the heat bar just kind of goes away entirely for a time. Now, you don't have to fly directly into the waterfall, but just into the water spray, and you'll have that same effect. Your jets are instantly cooled completely, and you'll see here I can fly around for quite a while before the jets start to warm up again. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you fly straight up, your jets will overheat much, much quicker, and if you fly straight down, your jets will actually cool a little bit, just because of the load on the jets, if you want to say that. But here we have the storm is ending. There we go, I'm almost in overheat, and as I'm flying straight down back into the waterfall, the jets cool, they hit the waterfall, and they stop overheating altogether. It's a pretty neat trick, a way to keep your Javelin in the air for much, much longer. Yeah, it's good. Good to keep your Javelin in the air. Also, hovering, although isn't the most efficient on a Colossus, can let you get your bearings and lets you turn around quicker. So rather than just turning like this, you can hit hover and just start flying in the opposite direction. Is a lot more efficient than just turning overall. But that is going to be the end of this quick guide video. If you thought I missed anything or have any questions, feel free to post something in the comment section down below. I will respond to them if need be. But I do read all the comments. If you're new here, you want to see more of my content, whether it be Anthem or any other looter shooter, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to show your support to this video or my channel in general, you can always hit that like button. But do not forget to have a good day, everybody, and I will catch you all next time.